बिजनेस एक्सपेंशन चल रहा है. मैं भी इस साइड ही आ जाता हूँ, आर्यन उस साइड आ जाता.
ओ हाँ, दिस इज परफेक्ट.
ठीक है ये
हो गया ना बेस्ट.
अपने हॉस्टल का कैंसिल करा देते हैं. फिर ये बकचोदी करते हैं भाई.
रोज सोओगे थोड़ी ना, ऐसे थोड़ी ना होगा. नहीं रोज मतलब रोज सोना तो पड़ेगा.
कल सो लेंगे ना 1 बजे तक हॉस्टल जाके.
जादू मंतर, जादू मंतर, जादू मंतर. You are going into the future.
You talking to me?
They always be these clothing. Yeah. என் பேர் மாணிக்கம். எனக்கு இன்னொரு பேர் இருக்கு.
Talking to me?
Queen is dead.
कुछ जान नहीं. We are releasing this episode as is.
As it
Not
is.
even touching anything after this.
No, but let's talk about the first film that we saw.
Hey,
at
hello,
Marvel.
hello.
अरे हेलो करो. और
नहीं रहा है.
इससे पहले तो अपन को दर्शन करवाने हैं सबको मामी के, राइट?
राइट. बोलना है कि क्या
Setup.
एक्सपीरियंस कैसे है.
Of course.
तो
वही तो.
hello.
करो आप.
Welcome back to Queen is Dead. I'm Sanjeet. I have Dhruv and Aryan with me.
In person.
In person.
Yes.
For the first time
Yes.
ever in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
And today,
We are talking about Mami.
Mami.
Yeah.
All things Mami.
Sitting
All things Mami.
while sitting in the dark, which aptly summarizes how this festival has been going for.
It's
Us, yeah.
keeping us in the dark.
Yeah.
Yes. Keeping
For
us.
Sanjeev, it's literally keeping him in the dark.
मैं तो सो जाएगा फिर तो. ज़्यादा देरा मत करना.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but what has your experience? Wait, so let's
So we are going to do this day by day.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's going to be day by day.
Commitment, yeah.
Commit कर दे रहे हैं, करेंगे नहीं करेंगे वो तो.
वो तो अभी
देख
बोल
ले,
रहे हैं.
से.
बोलने में है. बोलने
How
में
has it
रहता है.
always been with us? No,
Yeah.
भगवान भरोसे life.
But it's going to be fun because it's going to all be impromptu. There's
Yeah.
no like preparation and also.
So we are not going in with any kind of peer pressure or any burden
तो
about
मैं कभी
editing
peer
or-
pressure पहले भी नहीं था.
हाँ नहीं
नहीं,
but
but
मैं
still-
हूँ ना, दिमाग खराब हो जाता
वो
है.
हो जाता है.
organize
It's a good
करते
thing,
करते.
ना.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to go in structured with
जो भी
proper
हाँ,
notes and all.
but the festival structured नहीं है तो अपन
Yeah,
structure
exactly.
करेंगे.
So it's like an excuse for us to just start by एकदम impromptu
हाँ.
and
And-
candidly.
And everyone can listen to our
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah,
There is
yeah.
no specific
Yeah.
invitation only.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's open. It's
Live
a very
audience.
democratic procedure.
After this live audience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
won't mysteriously
अनुभव
come
लेके
up.
आते हैं.
We won't mysteriously come up with a post on Instagram that reads that it's for invites only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the people who
Yeah.
even Ambani's invited.
They're not involved
Yeah.
For
because
context.
as I said, it's very democratic over here. So we
For context. Opening film for the festival was The Buckingham Murders
Yeah.
by Ansel Mehta.
Yeah. Apparently, which is great. In the
Apparently
most
great,
sarcastic way I can.
And there was supposedly a huge turnout of people who wanted to watch the film.
Yeah.
yeah.
And turns out,
surprisingly, you guys also wanted to watch. Huh?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what I mean.
including us.
Yeah.
You also. What do you see?
Hansal
You
Mehta
think
would be
about
like,
you.
where are you fuckers when I actually release my films in the theaters?
Huh.
No one went to watch for
Invite
us.
only.
Turns out
Invite
it's
only.
an invite.
We thought that, yeah.
Turns out it's an invite basis entry,
Yeah.
and it's a stupid
Scam.
scam. Okay.
Yeah.
2023.
2023, yeah.
It's got documentary someone should make. I think some filmmakers have done this at Cannes, I think, where they've come, they've shot footage at Cannes and then they've released it as a film. I forgot who it is,
Yeah.
but they've
But
done
as
this,
like a
yeah.
mockumentary or like
Like a mockumentary.
Oh, wow.
almost. Yeah.
That's
of
great,
the,
yeah.
of the festival.
Yeah.
Makes sense. You should.
Apparently, for Cannes is also like a proper. It's a very diva, very glamorous festival.
Showbiz
na.
kind of.
Yeah. It's not like a
Mhm.
subdued
Yeah.
film festival, I guess, which is only
No,
based
no.
on films because
No.
we know who all goes.
Yeah.
Festivals aren't anymore film
Yeah.
festival,
No, but
right?
there
It's
are
a whole
some.
publicity.
Yeah,
I
it's
think, like,
all about marketing. It's
I
all
can
about
tell from
endorsing.
experience that New York Film Festival that way is
it's
very.
good.
I mean, see, that way, even the camera. I mean, we've gone to film festivals all
Smaller
of us.
ones.
Yeah.
The Camera March, which is specifically for cinematographers, which happens in Poland,
Okay.
it's not about show at all.
Yeah.
Because the people who are coming to the fest are
Are
mostly
cinematographers.
cinematographers
Okay.
and technicians or directors.
Irony about showing people who show cinema are actually the least showiest
I mean,
festival.
it's true, no? Though, I
Yeah.
mean, you can't.
No, but it is.
But
Yeah.
what has your festival experiences have been like before MAMI? You've been to what all festivals?
Mainly only NYFF. So I've just, but like I remember I went first in undergrad.
Huh.
That time I was like, I was getting into cinema, so I selected 5 titles, which were the most popular titles.
Yeah.
Like,
Which ones were there?
think one of your favorites, Mayorovitz stories.
This is
Noah Baumbach.
2016,
Yeah,
2017.
and all these people had come, your cast of that, and I was like, okay, whatever, like that was great.
Mhm.
And then I forgot the other titles which I had gone to, but they were a good selection of the most popular stuff that was
At
out.
that point.
Yeah, and
Like
then-
American films.
Was Roma that year? No.
No. Roma I did watch in the next big. I think the proper time I actually went is the Roma year
18.
18, I think.
Hmm.
18 or 17. Maybe.
No, 18, I think.
18,
Because that was the year with Lars von Trier film also, no?
Yeah.
I mean,
The serial killer. What is the...
how's that Jack Bill?
How's that Jack Bill?
Yeah.
Which of course New York won't show it. They're too classy for Lars von
Didn't
Trier.
show?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went and saw it. Alexei. It's a fantastic film.
Mhm.
Anyways,
Okay.
NYFF में that was my first experience where I've sort of went full fledged. I think I saw like 15 titles, 16 titles. I didn't have to write for anyone or anything, so it was purely a basis of going, enjoying
An
cinema.
experience.
Yeah, and I got introduced to great filmmakers and some who I don't like, but I continue to try and like Nuri Bilge Ceylan. But which Aryan also has had some
Yeah.
great
Did you watch
experiences.
Winter Sleep over there?
No, I didn't. I was about to make some bad fun.
No.
But no, I watched The Wild Pear Tree.
Right.
that was the year.
That was the year where
Yeah.
then that year
Shorter
was-
films.
No, that's 3 hours, 8 minutes.
It isn't Winter Sleep longer.
Winter
Hmm.
Sleep is 3 hours and 15 minutes.
So it's
Probably. I don't know.
Mhm.
It
comparison.
doesn't really make a difference. All of them are long.
Yeah.
But this had like a lot of great titles. The Favorite played as the opening
Oh,
film, I
wow.
think.
So 2018.
Yeah. Roma was like the centerpiece.
Hmm.
And then closing film actually was the most disappointing. I know some people
Black
are fans.
Klansman?
No, that wasn't.
I mean, I thought because Spike Lee is a
No,
New York guy.
maybe it did play and I didn't watch because it was already releasing a week later.
Okay.
In cinema. So
I
some
think
of the
it would have
titles
played
come out
because
like
New
that.
York-
Sorry to bother you.
No, that wasn't. I don't.
I mean, that's
remember.
the titles that I'm trying to remember from that year.
I have noted. It's all. I have the list of letters essentially. That's the first time I've like curated
like a proper
and like
list.
I have like notes about the films as such.
Okay.
But
Like basic notes, one-liners, two-liners?
no, like
or like, okay, proper
actually
notes.
proper notes
Thoughts.
and all that. Yeah, NYFF 56 was the festival.
Okay.
Some of the titles were, I can just go through them. Favorite, Wildlife, which was a big thing. That time,
Boredom
no one
Does.
remembers that film now, I think.
All day,
Boredom.
no. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh,
Jake.
yeah. Wildlife.
Yeah, then I got introduced to not Ash. I got introduced to Jia Zhang, the Chinese director.
Okay.
He made Ash's Purest White.
Oh, correct. That year.
Very
He's the
interesting.
filmmaker who made some like 3-4 films, like part 1, part 2, part 3, right? If I'm not wrong.
I think that was also
No,
here. Elephants,
that's
it
someone
still was the same.
No, this
Time?
1 year later.
1 year later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other films I'll just go through
No,
the
just
list is non-fiction by. So again, a lot of them will be titles, which have sort of gotten lost in the
Yeah.
ether now. But like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of the
Beale Street.
yes, which I still don't like.
Beale
I
Street-
still never
Beale Street
connected with
took
Beale
off.
Street.
Yeah.
Barry Jenkins.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I love
Yeah.
that movie. It's very autumny
Never
and
connected with it. It's
Yeah.
just too perfumed.
Mhm.
Says the Terrence Malick fan, but
But is it because of the score? Because it's too loud.
no, I like the score. I think
I love the
think
score,
the
man.
performances are too highly modulated, but also the aesthetic is too. I don't know. I
I
need
mean,
to rewatch it.
you're saying the reality of it was a little too.
No, yeah, I mean, I need to rewatch it. I don't want to give a judgment now because
Okay.
it's been so long and
Okay,
I've
okay,
rewatched
okay.
it. Anyways, the other title, Shoplifters. So like great, yeah, actually, Shoplifters, Cold War, which is one of my favorite
Yeah.
romances of whatever past.
Paul Kosky.
Yes, Pavel Pawlikowski. Then my favorite of the festival was I think Ballet or Buster Scruggs by Coens.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the time when Netflix was pushing.
Yeah, it was a fun, like
Only
really fun
for
festival. Actually.
festivals,
And
yeah.
then Three Faces by Jafar Panahi also played there. So
Oh,
it's like a great festival actually.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm like,
Really.
okay. And then most recently I went NYFF 60
Mm.
One this year.
last
That's
year,
December.
this year, whatever it is. Anyways, less of a successful year in terms of the films I like.
Oh, yeah, not this last
But
one.
I watched about 24.
Oh,
So it
shit.
was a bit crazy, and I would not
How many
suggest
days
people
though?
to do that.
Yeah.
12. So it was well spread out actually. It was 2 films or 1 film a day. It wasn't
Okay,
like
so you were enjoying.
yeah,
this
yeah,
properly.
yeah, it was very. I mean, I didn't enjoy Master
I mean
Gardener
the
because it
mental
was a pile
space
of
of
manure.
watching
But
films.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But
like
yes, Master Gardener, I think it's one of the worst films Paul Schrader can make. I'm sorry, but I love him, but it's a terrible film. Anyways, didn't want to digress there. But yeah, a lot of titles actually. You After Sun played there. Women Talking, the film you guys love, also played there. All That Breathes, which Sanjeet still hasn't seen, also played there.
After first thing.
No Bears played there,
No Bears,
which I think is amazing.
After that you went crazy.
Yeah, Armageddon Time, which I'm the only one going crazy about it. So yes.
Did I told
Yeah.
you?
So yeah, like a lot of stuff. Idea is, but my experience with these festivals, both of the times when I've actually like gone religiously, if that was the case, has been quite nice. Because it's organized.
Yeah.
Because it's clear about what it is about.
Like your schedules.
You have schedules
time.
published like 2-3 weeks back. And see, I understand the reality of a New York Film Festival, which has been well established for a while now.
60
years now. And the reality of a festival in India is much different.
Yeah.
And the pricing is very different for one. Like the New York Film Festival is very expensive as a festival.
I mean, it's
if you're paying for it, unless you have like student, there are multiple ways of reducing the cost.
Yeah.
But if you are wanting to religiously follow a lot of these titles, there is a fairly exorbitant cost attached to it. In comparison, your MAMI is very
cheap,
because I told Aryan that to me, I was like, yep, this is the price.
Yeah.
Because I was used to very much, the exorbitant price that is at NYFF. But MAMI is very accommodative in that sense, but it's not in a lot of other senses, which I think we'll talk about. But yeah, you've been to Camera Image, and then I think you guys can tell your
Tell me about your Berlin experience, because I genuinely
so the first one which I went to was Camera Image. That was in Poland.
Yeah.
The cinematographer festival, the main focus. So that was my first festival experience, and it's been like that dream kind of thing, that you want to watch a film at a festival, and that was my discovery.
With creative artists that
people who I appreciate, the artists. So at that festival, Coens had come down with the Tragedy of Macbeth. Not Coens, just Joel Coen. Bruno Del Bonel had also come down. And Green Knight, this guy,
David Lowery,
who was in the same screening for Tragedy of Macbeth. So there were a lot of good titles which played at that time.
I mean, they're all very good.
Great screening, and also there are a lot of very useful workshops.
And you can see through the flames.
This is the Green Knight.
Okay.
Well, that's the only film he agrees plays better on laptop than.
I mean, that played better on laptop.
It depends on the projection.
I have to.
Bulb kaisa use kar rahe or wo sab.
This guy, but but that festival was not just for watching. It was a lot about workshops, because
and a lot about networking, I presume.
Absolutely, and a lot about there are these markets by these camera companies like Sony or Lighting, Grip Sony, so they launched cameras at that event. So it's a huge deal for a lot of technicians and a lot of older cinematographers. I think. Who's not the Bertolucci's film?
Command Conformance.
Storaro had come down.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and
he's also shot a lot of Woody Allen films, right?
Yes. And he had come down, and Ed Blackman was there. Todd Haynes' company, and he was on wheelchair.
Yeah.
So he could. I mean, his legs, I think, have given up. So I mean, that's how he's working. But
he just shot El Conde.
Yeah.
By.
So he's not the one who's operating camera, but he's the one who's
directing them.
Wow. So it was interesting that kind of an experience. And then the next one which I went was for Berlinale. That was a little not so great an experience, because so at Camera Image all the screenings are happening very close to each other, like one place.
That's the case with NYFF also.
So it's like you can go to all the places. It's a small city actually. Torun, it happened in Torun in Poland.
Okay.
So it's like you can just go around, eat food also, and it was very easy and all that. But Berlinale, it was at different places which are far off, and it's very difficult to get tickets for Berlinale, because the tickets would open at around 3 or 4 in the morning.
Wow.
It's better actually if
They
talking
Yeah.
about
according
our
to now.
sleep
But,
schedule.
every film you sit for, they get booked in the next 4-5 minutes.
4-5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a lot considering.
I'm just giving
yes.
I'm just
Yeah,
giving a rough
get it, get
example.
it. And
Essay.
there
It
are
was
also,
never
like-
like a specific
But
thing.
everything got booked.
They
No.
Ah,
also
more or
might
less.
be having like huge ass auditoriums, na?
Some of them.
Yeah, yeah.
But some of the cinemas are a little older, so you get
Okay.
seats right up to the screen. So
Hmm.
so what happened was, I wanted to go for Gangubai Kathiawadi, which was the
Hmm.
premiere screening. I couldn't get the premiere, but I got the next one,
Hmm.
and the seat that I got was literally right in front of the screen. I had to watch like
Like
with my neck staring up, and I had like a really
Different
bad.
level of grandeur, na?
I
Low angle.
really hated that
Yeah.
experience. Whatever, the film was a separate
Yeah.
thing. But I couldn't get tickets for the Claire Denis film.
Both sides of the blade.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of other prestigious,
But I feel Bernard Allen is always a bit obscure or
more art
compared to
housey. It's a very specific style.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really enjoy
German
Berlinale.
directors also there, no? I'm guessing.
Petzold,
as usual.
Petzold is like the more
Yeah.
popular name,
Angela Schanelek, I think, is one of the other
and a
ones.
couple of them, I would say. And the next one which I went was for Venice, for which there was another. Again, the booking system was like at 6 o'clock in the morning. You need to get up and book and all that. But the ticket prices individually, if you go for, are super expensive, like 30,
Yeah.
40 bucks.
Packages, they are better.
Yeah.
So you get a package for 80 euros, it's still 80 to 100, it's still okay, because then you can book and all. But individual films were like, whatever, 25 to 35, 40 euros, which is like super expensive.
Yeah.
So I went for the Whale premiere show with
Wow.
Aronofsky and who's that guy?
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
With the premiere with the videos which got circulated for the 10-minute. Even I was
Yeah.
clapping. I was like, why are the people clapping for
One
so
of the
long?
most jarring casting judges and killers of the Samun, by the way. Let's talk about that later.
We will get to
Yeah.
that.
Kill him. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, all these festivals, the good part was you get to meet so many people, network, and these people are just walking. These personalities, I got to meet Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Shia LaBeouf was just walking around, and it's like a very. I mean, I'm not saying he's like a
Doing
great star.
inappropriate things.
Possibly,
Yeah, that would say
possibly
that.
because he's in Italy also. No, my point is, it's the networking thing works
Yeah,
really
exactly.
well.
And like,
You get
For
to
people
meet
who want to network, by
random
the way.
people,
Yeah.
random people.
Yeah.
But there is that whole aspect of red carpet thing, the whole
Yeah,
prestigious
that's a very
star.
different thing.
Exactly.
That's I think NYFF is one of the most quote unquote modest that way. Because I think even when the stars come, we of course there's cheering and everything and all, but there's no sort of red carpet is
Heckling
separate.
and
It's
all,
all
yeah.
like it's all very neatly organized.
Yeah.
Like it feels more like a filmmaker centric rather than a
Star-centric,
star-centric.
yeah.
There are because Anne Hathaway came and Tilda Swinton came, and of course the star fandom and all that
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
But like you get a similar reception for someone like Mia Hansen-Løve, who I should have said hi to, but I didn't because he was standing next door to me. So I was like, yes.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Sometime later.
Sometime later, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes.
But my point was
Hmm.
the red carpet thing there at Venice was too showy.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
there are like people camped outside the red carpet,
You told me.
like
because
from a night before.
because Timmy C's was coming, no?
Timothy Chalamet for that cannibal film with Guadagnino.
Which we don't like at all.
Yeah.
And
None of us like it, I
None
think.
of
and Harry Styles for that another film which
All my
we didn't like.
darlings. Oh my darling.
No, don't worry, darling. Oh my God.
Oh my darling.
Monica, oh my darling.
गाना ही गा लेता हूँ पूरा.
So yeah,
Yeah, oh my darling.
it's a different kind of an experience.
Yeah.
वो मैंने my darling Clementine देखी ना 2 दिन में.
Oh, John Ford ka. Yeah. Very much
It's
your director.
amazing. Amazing, na? I watched a
I
John
watched-
Ford film right before watching Killers of the Flower.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's nice.
Nice.
Good prelude.
It's nice. Huh?
But what about your
Yeah,
experience?
so PIF was the first offline film festival that
PIF
I
is?
ever attended. It's
Pune.
Pune International Film Festival. It was earlier this year in February. That was the first offline film festival that I attended. Uske pehle I've had like online screeners and for some
Your
festivals. there's
screeners for Rotterdam.
IFFR. Last year, DIF ke liye bhi I had some screeners like Bruin and all these major conventional releases. And PIF was the first offline film festival that I ever attended. And I still remember, even before the festival started, I knew that I had never been that kind of a person who could sit and watch 2-3 of these very condensed and jam-packed
house.
movies in one day. Like, art house movies in one day. Like, I'm not that person. Even if I watched one film a day, I would want to like mull it over and soak it in and build it on.
I
Okay.
think the worse the film, the easier to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
More of
Yeah,
them.
definitely.
I-
And
I
Piff,
feel.
even though most of the films that Piff was screening, even though that most of them had already been screened across the world in different film festivals, and even in India latter last year during MAMI तो नहीं हुआ था ना last year
No.
No.
during IFFI and DIF.
Mhm.
So a lot of films that were screened there, they were again screening at PIF. But because I had not visited DIF and
Mhm.
IFFI in Goa, it
What
was a
are
great
these festivals?
opportunity.
Like,
IFFI is the International Film Festival of India. It happens every November in Goa.
Goa.
So I couldn't attend that,
Mhm.
but it had amazing titles playing last year, like After Sun, Banshees, and it was like only $900 for the entire
whole
festival.
festival.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's very it's amazing, and everyone. I had people that I bumped into at PIF who had also attended IFFI and who were also at PIF. But even the management was like really nice. There were only like 2 venues, so it was easier to
Smaller
come.
place
Yeah,
and whatever about that. Yes,
definitely.
yes, of course.
And there were days where I'd watched like 4 films in a day, including films like Pacifiction and Godland and all.
Which are very, for
Yeah.
whoever's unaware, that those are like your slow cinema.
Yeah, like epitome of slow cinema.
Slow cinema, like properly.
Yeah.
And Pacifiction like almost 2 hours 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's long.
45
Yeah, yeah.
50, yeah.
It's like Apocalypse now. If it's taken like what's the
Yeah.
Xanax? Apocalypse now on Xanax.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't suggest I would never do that again myself. That's why even at MAMI, I have not been going gaga over, going for all these
4 or
big
5.
premieres or like multiple films in a day. Like even if I watch
Yeah,
1 or 2 films a day, I don't mind that. I would want to watch them properly without sleeping. Hopefully, what happened?
Blink, blink.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen because then again you get very drained.
I will introduce you like that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And again, so
Uh.
at PIF, I was also covering some of the films for like different publication houses. So I also had that obligation at the back of my mind.
Right. and
So this
finish.
time I just don't want to have that thought and obligation looming over my head.
It's interesting though. I feel like
So
it's a completely different mindset. I think.
yeah,
Right.
because you're
Are you taking
constantly.
notes while watching? Or no?
I took some notes in Killers and
no, not this. I was asking like when you were.
yeah,
taking-
I was taking because like Godland I had to take notes because
you were
then
writing.
yeah, and films like Pacifiction and I watched No Bears. No Bears was the best experience I had that year earlier this year when I watched it on the big screen. I still think it's one of the best experiences I've ever had watching a film, and the crowd was very respectful and very supportive of and amazing. That was a great
Yeah.
experience, and I also got to rewatch Decision to Leave
Mm.
with a jam-packed audience. Even though I got
podcast
You have
Yeah.
but you have lost to us.
yeah, no, but it's 4.5. It's good.
No, not rating.
So
Rewatches.
I rewatched it for the 5th or 6th time recently.
He watched it 6 or 7, and I think
I loved how once during one of the episodes, Sanjeet was like, "Abhi मैंने देखा ना 5वीं बार." I think he was saying it so matter of factly that ये तो common है.
At that time, I was
5
really
बार.
obsessed. I think
See,
start of the year, I was really
How many times have you watched?
He watched it 6 times in the cinema.
five times in cinema.
Five.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I watched it 4
I
times in the
was
cinema.
going almost every other week.
Was it
I
4 times in the cinema?
yeah.
Wow, okay. But yeah, so
So
Piff
that is
was
called
like-
love for a movie.
Yeah. Oppenheimer 5 times in the
Exactly.
cinema. Longer movie.
Worst movie.
Worst movie, yeah. You're seeing
Debatable.
everything in black and white.
Debatable.
That. That's very
Debatable.
No,
yeah. It is.
Decision to Leave and Oppenheimer debatable.
No, I'm not comparing.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying comparing.
One film is sterile. One film is like
Yeah.
like an explosion, like genuinely an explosion. I
Yeah,
kid,
yeah.
yaar, of course, go
No, but
ahead.
it's great. So even when you're watch
अभी पिटने के काम अभी से कर दिए हैं, फिर अभी किलर्स के बारे में चालू
पिटने के काम तो कोई और कर रहा है ना अपने तो
वो तो जूते
अंधे
खा
में-
के आएंगे एक बार सर.
But yeah, again, so rewatching Decision to Leave on the big screen with such an amazing crowd just made me realize that no matter how many times you've watched a film, any particular film, any number of times on your laptop, on your TV or whatever, watching it in the theater with like a proper communal
Changes.
experience, it changes your view about the film, it changes your experience, it enhances it, it notches it up to another level, and yeah, that's it. So I
Okay,
would
so
still
it's
want to.
something
That's
like-
precisely why I would want to watch Joram with you guys
Mm.
if I get a ticket, and if
If we
I
get
end up-
ticket.
So,
No, we have figured that out. No?
yeah.
Have we?
We won't
are not
share.
putting that
Yeah,
out.
no, we won't. Yeah, so
We
let's
can't give out insider names, no?
no insider.
That we know Anupama Chopra and she's giving us.
Yeah.
You're gonna put this.
Don't worry, Anupama.
We are just kidding.
Obviously, yeah.
No.
Or are we? Yeah, but so what did you think of Sanjeet about the first film that we watched at MAMI today, Killers of the Flower Moon?
Yes, because that is officially
Why are
the
you
first.
starting with me? with this?
No, but
Tell
that
me
is the
now.
first film we have. Because
Yeah, technically.
it's best to cover it kind of because I think you guys have accommodated it into your schedule
Yeah,
in some ways and
definitely.
kind of ruined mine for today a little bit also.
Ruined.
Yeah.
Ruined only. I booked one of the films because of whatever your plan was. Anyways,
Yeah.
I ended up not going for two of them, which is a different scenario. I had to
Yeah.
work.
We have to not even slept.
We haven't slept.
Yeah.
In
I
almost,
slept for 2 hours.
I don't know.
Okay.
Slept
Ah, you slept for the movie. No, exactly. So
Okay.
yeah, Aryan is the person who's now
Yeah.
been recognized
Yeah.
as the person
I'm
who
also in the
love-
club. Yeah.
Yes, who doesn't stay awake during Martin Scorsese film.
God.
Yes.
So we went for Killers of the Flower Moon in IMAX at 1:30
Kaun
show.
sa Malad, na?
Malad, yeah. It's again
One of the
best
finest
IMAX
screenings
in
of-
Mumbai easily. Please
That I've been to.
stop going to
Good
lower
theater
Parel.
recommendation video, right?
Huh, but it's
Yeah.
actually a great.
It's great. It has the perfect
Why
width to length
not?
ratio.
Almost perfect. I mean, it is perfect. But
It's great. And even
That's,
surround sound.
that's why you probably like the movie more.
Yeah.
I took
Awesome.
it home and anyway.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. So the thing is, Killers of the Flower Moon, it was probably not the best decision to rewatch The Irishman 2 days before watching this movie, because that film, again, we have talked about this, I think, in our one of our conversations on WhatsApp in the group, that Martin Scorsese, his films always earn that classic wala tag 10 years after he's made one.
Hmm.
Okay, so if you look at films like even Last Temptation to a certain extent, and a lot Raging Bull, for
Age
instance,
of
right?
Innocence, would you say that?
Age of Innocence as well, right?
Yeah, it's definitely gained much more
Yeah,
of a reputation, I feel. No?
I feel
Definitely.
Casino also gained more reputation.
Yeah,
later on.
Casino
Yeah.
definitely. I think Casino really didn't do well that much when it
Really?
released. I think so.
I think it did well, but not
Yeah.
like great.
Not like
numbers.
But it was also not one of his best received films critically, from whatever I know.
because he
I
was
think-
87, right? Or 85?
No, 95.
95.
Oh, 95. It was
After
after
Age of
Goodfellas.
Innocence.
No,
After Age of
Cape
Innocence.
Fear.
After
Cape Fear?
Yeah.
Cape Fear was between Age of Innocence and
I think Age of
Goodfellas.
Innocence came after
Age of Innocence is 93.
yeah,
93. Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
95.
No, no.
92, 93, I think it was.
92 was Cape Fear.
Then yeah, then it's
Oh,
Age of
90,
Innocence. and then
90 was Goodfellas.
Goodfellas.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I genuinely think that I was just thinking about this when I rewatched The Irishman, that I don't know whether Scorsese's previous three films,
Hmm.
From Silence, Irishman, and Killers of the Flower Moon, I don't know whether they are better films objectively or not, but I certainly think that the craftsmanship behind these three films is certainly a testament to how great of a filmmaker he is,
Hmm.
and how greatly his filmmaking style has evolved through the years.
Exactly,
How it's
exactly.
gotten more contemplative and somber. And I don't want to say this, I don't want to say on his behalf, but it echoes a lot of what an aging man would contemplate in his own 80s, and it's brilliant.
Hmm.
It's fucking amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and Silence, I think
I'm
it's
just gonna make fun of the
Silence is one of my favorite films of all time. My top three
Yeah.
favorite Scorsese films, I
Mhm.
guess. Irishman, I love The Irishman. Killers of the Flower Moon, I don't know how I particularly feel about this film upon
Mhm.
first viewing. All I know is that it doesn't have that kind of instinctive impression that it's left on me the way that most Scorsese movies do on
Hmm.
first viewing, because a lot of it feels like Dhruv said this, right? That it should have worked better. It would have worked better as a mini series,
Hmm.
because it is too stuffed. It's very overstuffed.
Hmm.
And even within the 3.5 hour runtime, it doesn't quite stick to one perspective, and it feels really muddled in that way.
Hmm.
Even though when you talk about standalone scenes, they are great. Like even the editing by
Thelma
Thelma
Schoonmaker.
Schoonmaker. Like I don't think anyone needs to say about how
Yeah.
good of a great
Yeah.
of an editor she is. And the cinematography by Rodrigo
Rodrigo
Prieto.
Prieto.
yeah, it's amazing, and it's just Sanjeet and I talked about this right when we were leaving the screen. I think it was during the interval point that it's just so sad that most people, even the ones who do, would watch this film on Apple TV when it comes out on streaming, and it's just
I don't think they'll even watch.
yeah, that's what even if they'd watch, they would be watching it on Apple TV streaming and torrenting and all that. It's just I don't know, man. So I love the last 30 minutes of Killers of the Flower Moon. I love the starting, but a lot of the middle portion, the middle section, especially when the FBI perspective comes in, I don't really think what to make of it. Again, I don't have an issue with the perspective it chooses. A criticism that I understand a lot of people have for reasonable reasons, but I think Scorsese has always been more interested in centering his story and telling it through these morally gray and morally ambiguous characters to make men,
Yeah, like
To
I mean,
make
we
it
don't
seem-
need to like dilly-dally about that. Like
exactly like Raging
people,
Bull, like
some people are better writers of a certain or
Exactly.
writers and depictors of certain people.
yeah,
And
when they
Of course.
keep going back to certain themes, and that's okay, but it's in the way he executes these ideas
yeah.
in every film of his. And I think Killers may not be one of his best, one of his stronger outings, but it still is a damn great movie. So it's one that I would certainly
No, you
rewatch.
say. Man, so everyone, I've already blown my reputation, no? Because I said
but
Oppenheimer
still,
is sterile.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I saw it, 2 weeks now? 2 weeks
Yeah, a
ago?
week
Or
back.
1
Week
week?
back, yeah.
Only a week boy.
Yeah, you went on the 20th.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So I saw it a week back because I was in Dubai and it had released there. And I came out underwhelmed. I thought the first hour worked really well.
Which for me was the one radical point of view, because at that point all the
I think
reviews
all the reviews. So yeah, I
at
was.
that point
I
were a little too.
yeah, like the praises were
Positive.
totally positive and all that, and I came out and I was like, I don't know what to make of it. Not in the best way. I had when I was watching it, I knew some of the very I could identify the issues that I was having because I was there with a notebook taking notes for a review for that matter. But yeah, I mean, I think the underwhelming thing is less a part of the disappointment, I suppose, because I generally keep my expectations on a fair level. And confession, when Scorsese mentioned that this film's pacing was similar to two Ari Aster films, Midsommar and especially Beau is Afraid, I automatically modulated my expectations because I do not like either of those movies. And I think both of them are very badly paced, especially. So I think, anyways, when that happened, my expectations, I'm saying, had like a speed bump. But I was excited to see probably the most Molly's character, which is played by Lily Gladstone. That's not just because of who that character is, just because I know how good Lily Gladstone can be.
What is
she's in Kelly Reichardt's Certain Women. That's, I think, the thing most, at least cinephiles or art house people would know her as, because that's basically 3 short stories in that, and everyone almost unanimously loves her track with Kristen Stewart the most.
Okay.
And in that, you kind of see almost a shade of everything you also see in this film, in Killers. And in that film, it's an even more sadder performance and a lonelier performance. But everything is very much communicated through facial expressions. You know, her face is very rich and emotive.
She plays the melancholic in that.
Of course, he nicely played to that.
She's a recluse in that film.
Okay.
She's very much a rancher who's living life like separated from everyone, and then she goes to take a class on something and sees Kristen Stewart, who's a interim teacher, and they strike a bond. And it's like you have to gauge through her reactions how she's excited, like she's attracted to her or not. And then the dynamic that plays out in Certain Women is particularly, like, first it's very charming and then heartbreaking and whatever. Like, it's her performance is there like a big standout amongst really heavyweight actors like Kristen Stewart, of course, and then Michelle Williams and Laura Dern. So like it's a stacked cast. So I was very excited to see how he works with that perspective. I had heard a lot of praises about the book. I had heard I like Leonardo DiCaprio. I know there's a section of audiences that don't like, they find his performances fairly emphatic or like, too over expressive sometimes. And there are moments in this that it happens, but I generally think this is a great performance from him. And like Martin Scorsese following up The Irishman. Sure, like I mean, I loved The Irishman. I still remember the first hour of Irishman. Last hour of Irishman. Like that's a lasting memory. One of those
I think
really
it's
powerful,
seamless filmmaking. It's perfect.
I think expectations were good. I didn't. The runtime, of course, is always a bit. But I came off underwhelmed because a lot of the things I think we were discussing that. I think I've read people say it's Irishman Redux in some senses. And there are lots of similarities between the texts and how he's chosen protagonists. So in some senses, you have the Leo character in Killers of a Flower Moon is the Frank Sheeran character played by Robert De Niro in The Irishman. And then the Joe Pesci character is the Robert De Niro character here.
Very passive.
Anna Paquin character is not the more Lily Gladstone, but it is sort of that. So
moral sentiments.
You can kind of map the similarities a fair bit. Someone mentioned that they are that's the Osage people.
Okay.
That was interesting.
Basically, the people who are more righteous and become victims.
Yes, sort of like that.
Okay.
That's what they are. Like I read this somewhere. That's not But while watching it, the thing I was very keyed in on was that the Frank Sheeran comparison never left my mind. That the Leo character operates so much as this middleman who's caught up between.
And he's also come back from the
war. And he's sort of, caught up in that. I think it's past and present, which Frank Sheeran is caught between. Here, it's more just two forces, one quote unquote good, one quote unquote evil, that he's caught between, and how his moral collapse essentially happens is sort of where the story centers around. And I'm a big fan of these types of moral collapse stories about I would say this leans closer to blackish gray rather than than gray, which I think is Irishman. King of comedy, even I would say, is grey.
Absolutely.
And in Taxi Driver, of course, is grey. So, like, I think this goes into the slightly blackish grey category.
Because I think that is a certain choice that was made particularly for a certain feeling.
Yeah. No. As a sort of, a white filmmaker looking at the history of white violence against, Native Americans and particularly the Osage Indians in this case, I think it's always good to see and daring for a filmmaker to be able to unpick the white violence aspect of it without, without being even a little bit apologetic about it. I think it's very so I don't want to say this because I know this is probably it sounds harsher, but this is the type of film I feel that everyone who had a problem with The Irishman wanted him to make. And he kind of made it, not because, of course, he read their criticisms, but it feels like a thing that is so, in its political messaging, very tick-marky in terms of it's correct on all fronts. Whatever it's doing, I think it's doing in a way which is good. It's like white people are horrible, which is fine. A lot of films have shown that, and a lot of films and filmmakers deal with that in a way, I think, I would say more aesthetically interesting ways to me. So, like, you have art house filmmakers like Claire Denis and Lucrecia Martel, and I would say even something like Pacifiction. It's like, these filmmakers focus on this type of character. and then make the characters they can't see kind of invisible or a mystery, not in a way mystery in a way that even we can't understand.
Yeah.
Like they feel very mysterious to the whole scenario itself.
Mhm.
And I think that's a very interesting approach, and how you sort of, acknowledge the fact that you as a filmmaker probably can't even imagine that territory.
Mhm.
This is especially true of Claire Denis because she has been an immigrant. She's not an immigrant. She's part of the colonial. She was a child in Africa when
Okay.
she during the colonial sort of phase, during the end of it,
Mm.
and she's always struggled with this identity she has as someone who has affection for the country, for Africa, and how much she can actually participate and show it. And I think that tension is so amazing about her work
Mm.
that is a reference point for me in terms of when people are praising Killers of the Flower Moon in terms of a white filmmaker looking back, and because it is self-critical in one way,
Mm.
but the one way it is self-critical in is very much like a
Simpler.
no, it's not simpler, but it's a footnote.
Yeah.
It's when you
Footnote in what sense?
as in you don't want to spoil the film.
Okay.
In the sense that it's like you've made an essay about something, and in the end you've put a star.
Okay,
But-
I get
And
it.
then woven your narrative around it.
Made
Yeah.
as a highlight.
It's like
Yeah.
and it's impactful because endings and openings are very impactful
Of
as we
course.
know about stuff. And I when that happens in Killers of a Flower Moon, I was genuinely pleasantly surprised. I was like,
In a good way.
in a great way. I was like,
Mm.
I didn't expect this at all,
Mm.
and that happened, and I was like, okay, like it was my
I think
inner.
it's a great Scorsese touch. though.
It's an
Yeah.
inner clapping, like
Yeah.
you well done, Scorsese, sort of like
Yeah.
तेरे
like
validation ही तो चाहिए था.
मेरा ही validation चाहिए और no, well done, as in like that's some way to like
Mm.
undercut what you've done. But like upon thinking about it, I'm also like, how much can that alone hold the
Yeah.
weight of what all has
3.5 hours that
actually
is-
been done through the narrative?
Mhm.
And I think the narrative does do mistakes in terms of how it sidelines certain perspectives. My argument is not, and I want to repeat this very clearly, it's not that the film needs to show the Osage Indians' perspective.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It cannot show it. I've again cited someone like Claire Denis who chooses to use the
A white
actors who are
perspective,
black,
yeah.
who are almost peripheral, but they seem like the most interesting characters, but you don't. But the other stuff, what she's doing with the film form and other characters is so fascinating that you don't like, feel compelled to tell her that
कि let me turn.
turn your camera there,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm like, in this, the issue is I'm not into the what has kind of been done repeatedly in Scorsese films, the mob, how the syndicate almost like a
Operates, yeah.
how everything operates together, and I'm just like,
And how law interferes.
yeah, and I'm like, I get all that,
Mm.
but I don't really care about all that. I care about their relationship, which quote unquote is the heart of the film,
Exactly, yeah.
True.
Which gets sidelined in the second
which
half.
I think is also less convincing.
But
Yeah.
then how do you move the narrative forward? Because at some point, the relationship becomes a little fractured in terms of not emotionally, but also physically what is happening to one of the
Yes.
characters.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, spoilers, we're not talking about that yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they needed this is my,
Mhm.
I don't know, I'm just trying to find a
Yeah.
counter to that. Is that how else do you make the narrative more interesting?
But okay, so one of the justifications I was trying to work through in my head when I was thinking about why is Lily Gladstone's character pushed more and more into the periphery throughout. Is this a deliberate thing, or is it a manifestation of Ernest is his name, right?
Yeah.
Ernest
Burkhart.
Ernest Burkhart.
Ernst or Ernst?
Ernest is a good
Okay.
ironic name for him,
Okay.
I feel. But no, but I think he's so I mean, it was basically like, okay, I can buy the fact that he's being drawn more to Robert De Niro's side, so you're sidelining the Lily Gladstone character because we are essentially being the key term here, following his perspective, Ernest's Leo's perspective.
Yeah.
But I don't think the film follows his perspective also committedly.
Because you need a little extra driving force, which is what De Niro's character is doing though, right? King Hate.
Pushing him inch by
But
inch every
You
day.
need
You don't need to see everything he's doing.
no, but no. My point is, if you were watching something, let's say a film,
Yeah.
you need to see, let's say, you need to know what is pushing a certain character to do something.
I still think that there's.
But then how would you explain that guy's motivations? How? Because as you've kind of described about, it's kind of blackish version of the gray
Yeah.
of the character, right? So to me, it makes more sense that a person like Dino, because I personally loved his performance.
Yeah.
I loved that how evil he was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the menace of Joe Pesci, because I feel Pesci's performances, even in Casinos,
it's also
menace.
muted. In Irishman, everything here is a little muted.
Yeah.
In terms of performance, in terms
Yeah.
of everything.
It is that kind of a Western, because you've seen the earlier Westerns, right? The hardcore Westerns where
Yeah.
moral dilemma and the realism of that situation is much more
Yeah.
of more importance than anything else, I think, at the end of the day. I mean, of course, the gun shootouts are another aspect, but my point is, you needed someone like De Niro's quote unquote evilness
Yeah.
to really push a certain character to do something.
To his
Now-
moral reckoning.
And one decision leads to another decision, which
The
is
whole
the fracturing
process
of
of-
certain
yes.
thing
Yeah.
and blah blah blah. Which is why I feel I get your point that this X character becomes inactive after a certain point,
Yeah.
and her reaction to things would have been much more important. But her spiraling down into literally abyss or death or whatever you want to call kind of adds to viewers' idea of empathy for her,
Yeah.
because that character is now kind of cornered. There's no what is her way out.
Her way
That
out
is-
is, yeah, that's fine, that's okay. But I
Hmm.
feel in that way, because I think the couples talking, or even you go for total silence when there's like, in both an interstitial scene, basically
Yeah.
between you're
हाँ,
transitioning.
हाँ,
I'm like, transition mein hi ek आधा second with either of them sleeping side by side or whatever.
There are.
Separate-
scenes,
I
no?
don't think so.
There are scenes where they sleep together a couple of times.
But I don't know. I never thought I
Yeah.
could not buy
Their
the
relationship, the dynamic.
later part where
See, I would agree to the fact with criticism to the contrivances that were basically taken for the relationship to go forward.
Yeah. That why was she still
Yeah.
continuing to stay with him?
Contrivances are there, which I will accept.
yeah.
But I feel that is the kind of ease you need to have in a certain kind of film.
I disagree.
But-
I disagree.
And you're also talking about what 1920s of America.
She's
but-
not like that though in the beginning, Sanjeev.
But the thing is that even in the book, this has been even in the book, if you read the book, then that's how her character has been. That she genuinely develops feelings for Ernest, okay? And it's only once when people start telling her after she gets really sick, okay, from the
But
diabetes medications.
but
and-
that is the part of the book that's probably from her perspective
yeah.
entirely.
But even
Hmm.
then, even when
Hmm.
everyone caution her that don't eat anything, that
No, she
anyone
becomes
serves
paranoid,
you-
right?
Yeah, even when she becomes paranoid, even in the book, she continues to have those feelings for Ernest. So it's not like the movie had those contrivances just to maintain the
Nahin,
semblance of the
contrivances you
relationship.
can keep. I feel it's the idea that you have to. I didn't buy it.
Okay.
Because I think Molly, I always say I've changed Lily to Molly now. I think, but
Yeah.
no, but when Lily Gladstone's performance, firstly, is extraordinary.
Yeah.
Absurd. Yeah.
And her first, my I think big issue is that she is such a compelling presence in the first half of the film, or first even
First
not
half,
half actually, first
45
hour,
minutes,
40
I guess,
40
yeah.
minutes,
Uh-huh.
where you see the conversation she has with Ernest and how much she is
In
able
charge.
to.
Yeah.
No, I don't want her to be in charge all the time like that.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify. I don't want to be the person who's saying,
Yeah.
that why didn't you make her in charge? That's
Of
not the
the-
criticism.
Uh-huh.
She can, of course, they were they were systematically, it's a systematic genocide in
Yeah.
any sense.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's fine. But like I think it's this idea that she is so affirmative in some of the scenes with Ernest in a way where I thought I just can't buy her. And this is what I was thinking. Is her performance too good for the film? In the sense that her performance is so good that I did want to move on to her. It's almost too good a performance for me, where I'm like, I'm less interested in the other people. I'm more interested in you. And I hate that you're not.
That could possibly be one of the reasons for sure.
Yeah.
But I also feel like
Because I was less into the De Niro character.
I am what I'm trying to think of is a counterpoint. What we're also talking about, the story is based in the early 1900s, though, right?
1920s.
The gender politics would also come into play in a certain way, right? It's not going to completely modernize our ideology into what it was. So, I mean, with all due respect, the gender politics did heavily sided with the male.
Yeah, of course it did. Yeah.
So I wouldn't personally expect
the film to
completely shift the idea of a strong character by showing a persona.
No, that's totally fine. But I think I don't get the idea of why or where she lost her strength. Fine, she lost her family members. Okay,
that takes a mental toll, right?
That does. I understand, but I never.
Also, if you see, what happens is, Ernest's family also starts taking over their family.
Yeah, that's the systematic element. Yeah,
that's the whole thing. It's basically they kind of invade into their house, right? There's that whole scene.
That's the whole
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So in a way, it does affect you mentally of how that person would function. So I don't know what was happening when they were.
That is not important.
What I'm saying is I'm trying to find a counter to what you're saying. That's all. But because I really liked the film, I really enjoyed the film. But also with me, there's always the fact that I'm always overwhelmed the first time I watch a film. Because the first time if I'm watching a great filmmaker's an author, let's say, film, I'm mostly discovering the film in the first viewing. In the second viewing, I mostly have
processing it.
Thoughts. Okay, it happened with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Also, it happened with recently with Oppenheimer also. I mean, others also. I'm just giving random examples right now. But what I felt was something that I was watching, something that would really affect me. To put it in plain, simple terms. So for me, that becomes like an instant success. I mean, we've discussed this multiple times of how.
I think that is also the big issue now for me. Like I didn't. There are two brief moments of feeling for me in the film.
I mean, there are
table scene.
No, it's her scream.
The scream scene, of course, and even
basement.
In the basement.
I really
when she's not actually looking at the camera.
Yeah, it's
and even though
DiCaprio's
I love
reaction.
how the staging in the movies between Molly and Ernest. So the way Scorsese stages them to showcase the shift in power dynamics, it's amazing. I love that.
How it progresses kind of from the
to the... And see, another thing is that again I come back to this, that Scorsese has always been criticized and he's always been known for choosing these very morally ambiguous and morally corrupt perspectives for his movies. Raging Bull is like, it is one of the most unlikable characters in American movie history, right? But the fact that, without spoiling it, the fact that there's two very evident scenes in the movie where Robert De Niro, who from the get-go, as he literally declares that, call me King Hale, okay? Don't call me sir, call me King Hale. From the very get-go, he declares this, that he wants to come across as the most righteous man in the entire field and all. In that, on that land, the way that despite doing this horrendous shit, okay, but despite committing this systematic genocide, he wants to play that righteous character. And the fact that when I don't want to spoil this, but there's two particular scenes in the movie where he comes across like there's very particular biblical imagery to him. Okay, so the background would be like all lit up. when he's
Overexposed
arriving, when
white
he's
sort of
stepping
like
in.
that.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's like, and Scorsese has done this a lot of times,
Multiple
especially since his 2-3 last
Yeah,
films.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ever since he made Silence and even Last Temptation, since then he's been doing
Mm.
playing around with the idea of God and
Mm.
Christ and all in
Yeah.
his films with biblical imagery. But I think that's precisely why the perspective that the film chooses works supremely well, because by the end, by the last scene of the film, it is saying that look at how stupid we are, white people or whatever,
That's the basic
by
crux.
making like we are fools for making ourselves seem so righteous and
Yeah.
being like the moral center, wanting to be the moral
Yeah.
center ground of everything
Mm.
everywhere.
Willful
Okay,
ignorance.
like pretending that we are very biblical and we are driven by this righteousness behind everything that we do. And by the end, in the last dialogue of the movie, it fundamentally disrupts that flow
Yeah.
by reminding us that no, people died. Like, this is not right, as you are probably fooling yourself, that wake up. And for that reason, the perspective that the film chooses, it worked brilliantly for me. The only flaw that I have is that not all of it comes across together very well. Not, it doesn't fall apart, it doesn't come together very smoothly, and a lot of perspectives like the half-baked FBI introduction.
FBI stuff I don't understand.
I think let's discuss all that more in
Yeah,
depth
definitely.
later on.
Yeah,
But-
justice
because-
for Jesse
because-
Clemens.
But I think we should. I don't know if you will be interested in watching again.
I don't know.
I think
I'll watch once more before we
But I
recommend.
mean, I'll
watch
watch
it home.
after at like when your award season time. Maybe I'll
November,
watch it.
December.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Considering that they pushed back Dune and all other two,
Nah,
three
this
major
will be a very
releases,
big award favorite.
Yeah, I think
Should
Apple
be.
will push the shit out of this
Yeah.
movie.
Should be.
It's probably, I actually think
I
they've probably
do love
released it a little
De
bit too
Niro
quick.
in this.
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm surprised
That's
एक
what I'm
महीना
afraid.
late नहीं हुआ. November.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
But then
the official
again,
release
Napoleon
of
and all,
Apple is
It's
still
November.
because this is
They're
still
not-
limited
they're
release,
not.
right?
They're smartly not released the dates.
Okay.
Apple ka streaming. ka.
Because then otherwise people would be like, "Arey, abhi to
Yeah.
Mm.
So they are, I think, and it is the kind of film that would not, the
Yeah,
hype
I mean-
won't get.
I remember Irishman made around 8 million when it had come out. It had
Yeah,
what,
It was
3
COVID
weeks?
time, no?
No,
No,
it was
2019,
2019 November, yeah.
Yeah.
On November 26th or November 28th, it was on Netflix, but I think it was only in cinemas for like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Netflix, है
2
ना?
to 3 weeks, yeah. That's how they kind of qualified
Qualified
for the
2 week run, na 14 days.
But I
So
think it
it's-
was in 3 weeks because that's
That's the strong, the very, very cinema ka strong year, right?
Yeah.
That's
19.
Parasite,
We were just talking
Irishman.
about this in the
Irishman.
thing. Yeah.
And, what is that Safdie brothers movie?
Uncut
Yeah.
Gems.
Uncut Gems.
Uncut
I was
Gems,
also there.
fine.
There's
Yeah.
so many movies that year.
So
You guys love Uncut Gems?
Yeah.
Arey, we've discussed multiple
Fine.
times.
Fine.
It's fine.
What?
It's fine.
ये भी Scorsese influence है उसमें full on.
It's okay.
He was a executive producer on it.
Yeah. That was also
Fine.
directly streaming.
Wow.
Oh, was he? Was he though?
Yeah,
I
he
don't
was, he
know.
was,
Awesome.
he was.
He was
It's
there?
very good.
Yeah.
It's like a film train of a movie.
That year, though, we've discussed so many times
What
that
is there? Knives Out and all also released.
Knives Out was that year.
19, yeah.
Yeah.
And Joker.
No, that doesn't
John
count.
Wick 3 was that year.
Nah, John Wick 3 was
You didn't like
fine.
John Wick 3?
I love the ending set piece.
I
Yeah.
think John Wick 3
Mirror.
was really
I
nice.
don't remember.
Better than 2. But yeah.
Better than 4 also.
What do you think, Killers? How much do you think it will earn?
Oh, I don't think this
I don't think it's
earning
going to
wala.
earn because it's still 3.5 hours. I don't know how many people can commit that kind of time.
I think
I
it
think
would.
Silence was the biggest bomb I remember.
I think
Yeah,
I was
it
just
was-
recently going through IndieWire's list when they released. I think the biggest bomb was I forgot.
Kundan or something.
Kundun would probably
Kundan was actually
because
super expensive.
you know what happened with Kundun?
Yeah.
Disney
Ah,
didn't
some-
release
yes.
the film
Oh,
because
okay.
because it didn't want to spoil its relationship with China.
Of
Chinese
course,
markets.
Yeah.
still.
And yeah, so it was a Disney property thing. And so Kundun is technically not even streaming on
Yeah.
platforms.
Ah, it's
You have to
not
download it from places.
Yeah, it's not.
So it's kind of in a very
Lost.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Lost.
I think his biggest bomb was Gangs in New York.
no
Really?
Gangs of New York
did
was
well.
not a bomb.
No.
Weinstein made sure it worked.
Yeah. He's
Weinstein
very
made sure a lot of
determined
things
about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Weinstein made sure a lot of things worked until they
Even
stopped.
Aviator was a hit. Departed was a hit.
Departed was
I
the biggest
think
hit. Now
biggest-
Wolf was a big hit.
Biggest bomb
Wolf.
was
Wolf
Hugo.
Hugo Bomb.
Because I think
Hugo
the
Bomb.
budget was, I think, around
Oh,
150
okay.
million.
I mean, this is his most expensive film, Killers.
200.
Killers.
200.
Yeah.
220.
200, I think.
It's
Abhi
crazy.
सुबह we were going
I
to.
think it says 200.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought the Irishman had a bigger budget.
Irishman was 160.
160 and this
Yeah.
is 200.
Crazy, though. 220 million for a filmmaker,
Yeah.
basically making a film about how
Bad
Americans are
capitalism
horrible.
kills.
I mean, it's
I mean, it's very much like it's not even just Americans. It's like, wo capital American men. That's what I was saying. You can take. I wrote 4 things essentially that line up on the right side.
yeah.
Quote like the
Right
left
side.
and right political
Yeah.
side. That
Yeah.
line. And I was like, oh, all of them have been nicely punished in this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I can.
I think
yeah.
let's be honest, I think that's also one of the reasons why it's been like getting raving reviews from the West.
Yeah, because they kind of
Mm.
embrace this kind of ideology.
Yeah,
That's the
and it's
whole-
not just about the ideology. It's like I think there's some kind of righteousness that stems out of
No,
this.
ये
Ironically,
भी होगा ना.
Yeah, so
ironically,
definitely.
nahi, but there's righteousness in acknowledging that oh yes, we did so many wrongs. Let's acknowledge it and let's rewrite
That
history.
way.
Of
Let's
It's very interesting though. Then I always think about that. Not always, but
Yeah.
again, I would highly recommend people to watch some of Claire Denis' work just because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do. I really
I think it's a very good way, aesthetic way of abstracting and
I'm a
about
poetry, yeah.
abstract like absences, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like her debut film, which is premiering, not premiering, but like it's a restoration, right? Chocolat, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. In,
Mommy,
yeah.
when I'll go, man.
Watch it on movie.
No, I want to go.
Time नहीं मिलेगा.
Time.
I'll watch, yeah. I
अरे वैसे
like
भी
watching.
मार्केट लफड़े इतने चल रहे हैं.
I like watching reruns and
तो
restorations.
मिल
But the
रही-
restoration is
What's
lovely.
it called?
Movie.
Yeah.
Chocolat or chocolate. If you
Chocolate, right?
Chocolate, yeah. Vivek
Yeah.
Agnihotri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
Deep dark secrets.
Starring Imran Hashmi, Irfan Khan, Ramin Shetty, Arshad Varsi,
Tanushree
Tanushree Dutta.
Dutta.
Of
Was
course.
there anyone else too? That I forget.
No, I don't know. Wow, we've really gone
Yeah.
from
There's
What
some-
I need to pick.
What else did we watch is the big question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The follow-up film from one of my favorite films from 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drive My Car.
And my
Ryusuke-
favorite was
Wheel of Fortune.
Fortune.
Yeah, I love Wheel of Fortune.
Ryusuke Hamaguchi.
3 shots basically. Ryusuke Hamaguchi's
New film.
Evil Does Not Exist.
Or as I have titled
Yeah.
it, Art House Agyat.
Art House
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
Yes.
that's the
Very proud.
obvious
Yes,
RGV
For RGV
reference.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You could expect that always whenever
Of
Sanjeet
course.
is
नहीं मैंने सोचा मैं I was like
We
ये तो
thought of it, yeah.
आपका influence side में थे ना अब इसलिए all of
Yeah,
it
yeah.
came.
Blessing, no.
I was like
All about that.
ये पेड़ इतने कैसे intimidating
But
लग
I
रहे हैं.
don't know. I think the movie started off like very atmospheric and very slow. But then after
This
a
is
point,
we can also mention where what the circumstances of watching.
yeah,
So we went to Regal Cinema.
we went for dinner first.
We went to
Yeah, that caveat you put that you
Yeah.
and Sanjeet had like a heavy
Yeah.
dinner. Yeah.
Every dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every dinner
Yeah.
is important.
So we can
for later.
justify what happened later.
Later.
No, I as someone who
Yeah.
didn't have the heavy dinner and who had that this was my first film of the day. I was wide awake,
First.
but I was widely
Harry,
disinterested.
you were
Yeah.
already giving that plot twist. I thought we were just gonna.
No, I said I was I was wide awake
Huh.
and I was wildly disinterested also for a lot of the movie.
What was the name of the film again?
Evil does not exist.
I
Boredom Does.
legit forgot.
That's how we are rolling with it.
That's how it was.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
good tagline too.
Yeah.
But I really think the movie
This is my
starts off
first
really-
film of the festival because
Yeah,
आप लोग
first-
भी तो killers है.
हम लोग के तो
essentially.
killers हैं.
No,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is a second film. The first is actually
The short.
Pedro Costa shot.
The overture.
Watch this film.
The
That's the
overture.
surprising part. Because I was like, अरे must be some student filmmaker who
वो पिक्सर के मूवीज के बारे में
हाँ वो
बताते हैं.
कांच में करके कुछ तो होगा रे निकल के.
I quite liked it, guys.
God. What was it?
I think, but I liked it also because I've seen and read about the whole context. It's about a remembrance of a place. So he was like mourning for that place, which has.
कॉन्टेक्स्ट कौन बताएगा मेरे
नहीं
को?
वो मैं नहीं बोल रहा ना कि आपको जानने की जरूरत आपको होनी नहीं चाहिए
हाँ.
तो वो उसकी लिमिटेशन है पिक्चर की बट मुझे पता था तो मुझे अच्छी लगी ऐसे आई एम सेइंग
Thanks for clarifying.
तो क्या था वो कुछ परफॉर्मेंस
What
था
was-
ना कुछ
yeah it's like an art exhibit
So the first film was a short.
yes,
Yeah.
9 minutes
What is the name of the film?
9 minutes.
the daughters of the
Okay.
I don't know the name wait
Yeah.
the daughters
Daughters
of fire
Daughters of Fire.
it's apt only no like it was very it was 3 basic
यार एक
women
तो
split into 3
Regal में projection wasn't good.
Yeah.
I think the darkness का था ना issue
हाँ थोड़ा लफड़ा तो था.
क्योंकि मुझे evil does not exist का last shot ही नहीं समझ
I kind of understood,
Yeah.
but then wasn't well projected.
Yeah.
एक तो इतना दूर से
Exactly.
प्रोजेक्ट कर रहा
I
है.
was looking ऐसे पीछे. No,
कितना तेरा
one of
brightness
the reasons
रहेगा?
was also because someone was snoring right behind us, and I was like,
I was
"Am I still in the train?"
no, I was like, I understand, man.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a very. So I think it's what I was thinking.
Rather than walking out beats, it's better to just sleep if you're already come.
So क्या करोगे? Like I'm like, it's also one of the. I hate that the festival started on this point. No, it's actually started since a week. The scheduling has been like
Yeah.
my दिमाग का दही in any case.
Disaster.
So I was like, चलो वो तो ठीक है. I was like, evil does not exist. चलते हैं. Snow दिख रहा है poster में. I love like you know that ambience जो उसकी है, which it is. It is very much my zone. So I was like tranquil, quiet, woody, whatever sort of you know location, nature, birds.
It is about ecological balance and
वो है ना balance is key.
Yeah.
That's one of the key sort of lines, and the other one is everything flows downward or something like that. Like very, so it's that very bad and awkward combination of art house and social issue film.
Exactly.
I'm like poetry, I get.
Yeah.
Social commentary, I get. Social commentary in poetry is very hard.
And that's what we talked about now. It
what
seemed
would
like
possibly be a better example?
I think I don't know
That's
why I
what I'm
always
thinking
think like something like Cold War,
or-
basically.
or-
Okay.
Because it's a love story and
Or
everything,
even
the whole
something
thing is
like,
going in the background.
what was that film?
Which one?
2018.
Huh?
Oh God, I forgot the film's name. It's okay.
What? Who made it?
Are the A24 film about that immigrant couple in a way?
Past lives, you.
No.
No, not past lives, yeah. 2018.
M से Minari.
Minari was in 2020, yeah.
2020, yeah. Even that film to a certain extent, like social cause and like poetry. Poetry, काफी था.
Poeticism, I am a big
Alcaraz or something like that.
Clara Simone?
That's
Yeah.
the one which
Spanish
came last
film.
year,
Spanish
Alcaraz, yeah.
I have not seen that. I saw
Alcaraz,
an
I
earlier
watched
film
it
which I
first,
really
yes.
liked.
But it was nice. It was really nice. But then again, that's the thing is that it came across as the kind of film that you would see from first-time filmmakers. Again, no offense. I've never even thought of making a film.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
listen, this is this is from people who are, I mean, Sanjeet has actually made
Yeah,
he's a
he's-
cinematographer. But he thought possibly like this least out of all of us.
Yeah. So it came across as a very pretentious film from one of those, breakthrough.
अरे वो
first-time
festival का
film.
typical
Yeah.
movie ना,
Like
which we discussed.
came across like the type of film we would watch not from a very established filmmaker who would have made a brilliant film like
Yeah,
Drive My
but
Car.
there are good things about it, by the way.
Yeah.
Like there are I think technically I think it's pretty
Technically it's
solid.
great.
I
Like,
think it's shot really well.
yeah. Like and it pays and it's
The score.
Score, it reminded us of
Richter,
Max Richter.
Yeah.
a lot of that. So I think
I kept thinking of, for some reason, it kept reminding me of Arrival.
the vibe.
Also the color
It's cold
scheme.
and all that, right? It's
Yeah.
little grayscale
Yeah,
at some places. So I think all that I like. I mean, told you my breaking point of the film is basically this whole lump of speech that someone's placed in the middle, and I'm like, no one's getting what is happening. So let me just throw everything in the middle. This actually even Bellatar has done with Turin Horse. Where I was like, एक beach, there's nothing spoken in the movie essentially, but beach में ये एक चीज होएगी. you know, and I'm
Wo,
like,
I think
Which kind
Ghost
of
Story,
disrupts
Ghost
the
Story
whole-
maybe one.
Ghost Story has one of them,
yeah,
but I
party
actually,
scenes.
I
Yeah.
actually think the film is a refutation of that rather than it explaining that. It actually doesn't. It says that what he said is wrong.
I got out of. Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that is kind of. That's also because I like a Ghost Story.
Yeah, I love
Uh,
it. But then that one scene has always bugged me.
Yeah. But but Isme, I was just so through. I was like, this contemplative, really like I think I respond a lot to some of the slow tension, and I think some of the earlier sequences of the film had this idea where you the sound of a buzzsaw felt violent because you were otherwise in this
It's in a
really
very
tranquil.
silent, tranquil
Yeah.
place.
I was like, okay, this the whole evil does not exist is kind of just, of course, a slightly ironic title. And in the sense that, in even like those sorts of gestures when you're like cutting wood and like, destroying nature as such, nature has its own way of then,
imposing itself.
imposing itself because it's whatever balance is key in a sense. I thought that idea of ecological horror, I don't even want to say because I think this is moody more so than just horror. But yeah, I just felt once that scene happens where they are discussing what exactly is going on, I was just like, what now? And they have this is a very art house practice, and very rarely does it work. And I'm glad it works when it does, because I generally think it's such a waste of cinema, is the idea to keep the camera somewhere at a distance. I'm like, why? That's a stage play. Keep it close, right?
For which shot in particular are you talking?
The last shot.
No, a lot of this film takes place at a slight distance. I think a lot of it, and I'm like,
You're
like
kind of trying to say it doesn't contextualize the camera work.
now I got there's a scene where the father is carrying his child on his back, and it's like there, and I was like, until that explanation didn't happen, I was like, that's a very interesting way of maybe showing like another world. Like, is that someone else's point of view? That I don't know and all that. And then once it's explained, I was like, but then why? Why are you not showing them? Like, because there was no character in this film I actually cared a single iota about.
Same.
Which is the weirdest thing to say about a Ryusuke Hamaguchi film. Because one of the strengths of his films is how good the characters are. And how good the discussions between them are. And here I was just like,
I love that discussion between them, the two characters.
The people who are the consulting firm people in the car.
From the back of the car.
Yes. From when I think Sanjeet was.
I think that was the point when I thought that the movie is cleverly acknowledging this, and it's building upon its like multiple perspectives.
Yeah, it became Matru ki bijli ka
mantra. A good version.
Great comparison.
Yeah.
Yes, in Matru is the good version.
No.
Oh.
No, his comparison is great.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
I like
to make Matru look better.
Yeah, Matru में बहुत कुछ होता है.
That's the problem.
अरे बहुत funny
भाई,
है
that's
वो
the best thing about it. Yeah.
कहाँ से सोचा रहेगा?
गुलाबी भैंस वो offend हो जाती है बाद में.
Okay, yeah, that is also very
That
funny.
is funny, yeah. She says something I forgot. It's not funny.
Shabana Azmi.
No, that the auntie.
Yeah, auntie.
There's the auntie where he's going to the hospital.
So funny, man.
And he's like, वो अपना चेकअप करवा रही होती हैं, and Pankaj Kapoor is basically like, he's asking him, and he's like, Gulabi Bhais, or whatever it was, like, because he says it in a very specific way.
Like he's also wearing coincidentally
like a pink dress.
Now I remember it.
Yes. Party पे भी था, I think. Party में भी होता है.
तो पीछे से आ रही होती.
Yes.
Pankaj
Kapoor in that movie is absolutely
amazing.
Pankaj Kapoor in most movies.
I think Bhardwaj said in वो Unfiltered वाला interview that Pankaj Kapoor is the only actor he's worked with who can like disappear into such character roles. Like he just disappears.
He didn't say this about Tabu because I have no idea what alchemy she does.
But in Khufia,
in
Heather, so you in that interview, he says that Heather was one of the biggest surprises as a hit. Heather and Kamala.
It is.
And he says Tabu was constantly dissatisfied from a performance in the movie on sets. Yeah, I was like,
It's one of the very
What?
weird things where the actor that doesn't. I have not been. I don't. There's
हो
every.
सकता है यार कभी
No,
कभी
Like she was always after every shot, after reshooting every
I
shot,
think
she
that
was
was
like,
a long time after which she had come back.
True, I think she
Yeah,
hadn't
might
done
Hmm.
good
I mean,
films
she
around
had
that
done
time.
Jai Ho. So
I think
हाँ.
she had done Jeho in 20
उसमें basically
Four-
शक्ल
13,
दिखाने का
14.
काम होता है, right?
14.
Yeah.
नहीं वो किक था
14
किक
था
में भी थी वो.
14 जनवरी में आई थी
Kick.
Jeho after 1 year gap for Salman.
I thought किक में नहीं थी.
नहीं किक में कहाँ से आ गई
वही आर्यन ने
किक
कहा.
में
Jeho में थी
हाँ जयो 13 में थी किक 14 में थी
Jeho 2014 January 24th Republic Day release.
ये he's good with
इसको
it.
हाँ
हाँ.
आयो ना बट ये बहुत पर्टिकुलर
अरे because 2013 में सलमान की एक भी पिक्चर नहीं आई थी 2012 में
ऐसे
ये चीज़ें यार तो
हामागुची
मुझे
के
भी
मूवी
लगती
में सो किक डिस्कस करते रात के 4
अरे हामागुची में क्या ध्यान नींद आ गई झपकी
This
मार
is why we love recording ऐसे candidly भाई.
Yeah.
Let's do this. But what do you think? What are we watching tomorrow?
What are you
देख रहे
watching?
हैं।
हटा ही दिया. Evil does not exist. और भी
तो
तो कुछ
हटा
बोलो.
देते हैं
और क्या बोल रहे हैं
सो जाएगा वरना
मैं सो जाऊंगा बोलते बोलते
Sanjeev, this is so we'll not keep it. We'll keep Killers your official.
We'll keep the entire
Sorry?
thing now.
Killers is your official MAMI 2023 opener.
Yeah.
हाँ.
Opening film.
तो वो तो first
Let's
no?
talk about the opening film na. The one
Which-
that we got invites but we thought of not going
Talking of
because
murders, no, we didn't want to go only.
we didn't want to go because we just
Karina was like, "Don't come." So we were like,
yeah, Karina was like, I just you guys didn't like
जाने जा.
जाने जा
"Hansal, तो लगा दे चाय." हो गया सेट.
I think it is.
हाँ?
this will go up then.
अंसल चाय लगा रहा है ना तो क्या दिक्कत. अरे खत्म होत क्या.
Oh भाई.
तो
But
अंसल
I'm
तो
so-
हमारा यहीं पे बनाते इतना अच्छा
Right,
दोस्त है.
but guys, come on. You have to like at least understand. इतना छोटा hall है. कौन fit हो पाएगा?
हाँ, right, obviously.
Invite only तो चाहिए होगा ना.
Impact तो कितना छोटा है.
पे- और क्या-
वहाँ
क्या
पे-
तुम लोग को पता है मुझे क्या पता कितना है.
नहीं बहुत ही छोटा है यार.
How much is it?
Like
30?
2,000 people.
That's it?
Yeah, yeah.
2,000-3,000.
2,000-3,000.
भाई उतने में कहाँ 50s आ पाएंगे सारे.
और क्या?
मैं जाऊंगा ना थर्ड कोर्स पॉम लेके भाई my friends are going to kill me for this भाई कितना sexist है भाई आर्यन तू
क्यों?
वो तो
ये
दो
पता ही
course-
है.
नहीं भाई.
they would be shocked ना
हाँ.
if in
ये
this
secret
was-
निकल जाएगा.
अरे अभी तो
Keep
ये
dark secret.
But I thought it's releasing mid अरे तो वो लोग मामी में क्यों नहीं प्ले कर रहे हैं
क्या?
वो लोग भी हो रहा होगा
करते तो बवाल हो जाता.
हाँ नहीं
कौन सी?
उसमें भी
अरे
invite
Taylor Swift
only
का वो eras.
invite only Swifties only भाई I'm surprised it's releasing on 3rd November
कहाँ पे?
So it भाई चालू हो गया एडवांस बुकिंग और फुल भी हो रहा है फटाफट एकदम
हाँ, जाएगा.
फुल तो सर सब कुछ होता है अपना. मामी में भी तो सब फुल ही हो रहा है.
हाँ
हर रोज
डेफिनेटली
एक
दो
जगह
मिनट
पे
में
एक
दो
जगह पे
तीन
फुल हो रहा है.
दो 3 मिनट में
अरे
एक
so
मिनट सर.
stupid यार.
एक मिनट
क्या
में भाई.
बकवास.
नहीं we are going what do you think are you guys excited for like
Tomorrow?
yeah.
What are you watching tomorrow?
Anatomy of a Fall
That
Yeah.
you guys are watching.
yeah
It's
What are you
available
watching?
online.
what are you watching
I am watching music by Angela Shanlik.
yeah
And we are watching, as of now, the 2 Ukrainian films.
one
You okay? I am watching 2 then. In the rear view,
Yeah.
I think is one of them, which
Yeah.
is it sounds a bit like Taxi
yeah
by
Okay.
Jafar Panahi. So I'm
even the poster
and
look
it's
gives all that.
84 minutes.
yeah
And
आपके तो
then
मजे हैं.
हाँ sir और क्या?
आपने भी जा रहा है
20 Days of Mariupol is also 91.
I think I would love that movie. So,
Yeah.
so in PIF, we were supposed to watch my
Blondie
friends
or
and I that I
something like that.
bumped into over there, friends I made over there. We had planned to watch 4 movies that day, okay?
Okay.
And the first one was Klondike, and it was like I knew, and I'm always into such as a docu
Fiction.
dramas, and especially when it comes to contemporary political themes,
Mhm.
okay?
Hmm.
So that Klondike, I knew that it was going to be about Ukraine war. It had
Everything
won
over
like Sundance. So I was like light-hearted.
But that's not a good sign.
But then again, Sundance, you expect them as a quirky, light-hearted shit, right? First
That's a
movie
real
of the day.
Slides.
First movie of the day.
Sentence.
Huh?
We are
Sundance.
traumatized by the ending. The last
Okay.
frame, to spoil it, the last frame is.
Don't spoil it यार.
हाँ संजीत दिखेगा कल ही.
मैं तो
हाँ.
देखूंगा. यार के.
5 साल बाद.
back.
संजीत क्लोंडी.
Last frame of that movie is literally a wounded Ukrainian women giving birth to her dead fetus. So that is, and it sticks sticks to that at a
very
distance.
uncomfortable about that sort
Ah,
of
but
thing.
nahi,
No, not the uncomfortable about the image. I'm uncomfortable about the
exploiting that. I get
Sensationalist.
it. But it was very well played in the context of the
Was
movie.
it nuanced?
It doesn't
Up
need to
until
be.
that point, everything was nuanced, but it was only the last scene
अरे
that
वो,
was,
it's like an exclamation point डालना पड़ता है
and
उसमें
it
तो।
is
Just for
and
that punch.
no. But even in that, I think we talked about this.
इसमें भी तो क्या पंच
Klondike में
इमेज ही नहीं दिखाई दी।
Klondike में projection खराब था ना। Klondike में the way that movie used its foreground and background. So in it, oh
Klondike की
God, the
director की
last
थोड़ी ना ये।
frame. नहीं, but still it's
Similar, but of course
Yeah.
it's the
So you are expecting something like that.
something very like.
but it's the problem. I think
shattering.
it's the whole. It's kind of a sad thing where it's like, war does in fact have an ability to make people produce extraordinary things from the
Art.
damage of
art
it and all that.
leads
art
to
and all.
great art.
Art.
I mean, Jafar Panahi and ये लोग तो सबसे कब से कर ही आ रहे हैं, right? So it's
It makes
like,
sense.
yeah, it's not war,
But
but
I
it's
feel
like a
जिस
form of
country को belong करे वो भी बहुत matter करता है ना.
Yeah.
possible.
I mean Iran,
हाँ.
Iraq, and Ukraine.
Actually अपन के यहाँ भी कुछ चलता है तो अपन तो कचरा ही निकाल रहे हैं वैसे
हाँ,
बॉलीवुड में
मतलब
वैसे।
ऐसे जवान को
So-
एकदम ओहो सोशल मैसेज
फिर यार
So,
फिर
like,
ले आए
I
उसको
like it, but yeah,
फिर ले आए।
sorry
There is no way Jawan will stay out of conversation for a while.
for a while. But yeah, what do you think?
Not that I liked it, yeah. I'm just
Will
saying.
we get tickets for Kennedy?
Kennedy.
Yeah. Did you guys see that post? Oh, by the way, आपने reference करे हो cinema के चौधे.
हैं?
यश है ना उसका नाम?
हाँ.
The one that Yash put Kennedy का JFK का photo था and इसका ऐसे कुछ expression था and he wrote that when you realize that you're being named after a Kashyap film, that a Kashyap film is being named after you, and Kashyap reshared it. ऐसे, and it's like very chill, yaar. But it is so fucking funny.
if that is going to be your main Kennedy का experience,
But I
then
know,
that's quite
see,
sad.
it's like 2 hours 25 minutes. So if it's bad, then it will be.
Well, you
But
know,
I
you
want to
like
experience.
Pure also. अब तो सभी safe हैं।
I watched. I loved Immune.
उससे खराब तो
क्या ही बना
मुझे भी
यार
बुरी
मेरे
नहीं
को शर्म आ रही है सब बोलते हैं shit.
मुझे बुरी नहीं लगी थी। I also didn't mind.
देखा
अश्विनी है नहीं है यहाँ पे लकीली वरना अपन लोग को सच में चाकू मार देते।
इनफेमस ही है ना ऐसे when it comes to Bollywood
अमरत्य
opinions
like
अपन है वैसे
नहीं अमरती also hated it.
अमरत्य करता
अमरत्य का तो ठीक है.
We
he is the guy who liked Gary.
are not breaking this.
Okay.
अरे that's we keep it as what do you call it?
जवान गहराइयाँ
Let's
दोनों कर
not,
दिया
yeah,
आपने।
let's
और कुछ ही बता दो और क्या नहीं बोलना सोच लो क्या नहीं पूछना.
वो पसंद नहीं है ये तो वो होती है
Annoyance.
annoyance
Annoyance.
makes sense but
Spider-Man वो कौन सी है.
हो गए हो
हाँ,
वो भी नहीं अच्छी सर आई एम सॉरी वो तो बोल चुका हूँ कितनी बार सॉरी बोल
हाँ तो मैं कह रहा हूँ उसको भी मत लाना ना कभी.
मैं तो नहीं लाता
but what do you think are you excited do you think we'll get tickets for Kennedy
टिकट भगवान
भगवान भरोसे से भगवान
भगवान.
भरोसे से या इनवाइट
Yeah.
भरोसे वो तो भी वो भी मिल सकता है
मिल जाएगा उसमें कहाँ इनवाइट उसमें तो वॉक इन
अभी रुक जा थोड़ी देर बाद अच्छा है. अरे तू हंसल तो मानता ही नहीं है यार.
चल यार फराक 2 बनाओ आप
Paras 2.0.
Yo, Faraz 2.0 actually about Faraz.
make scam 2023 MAMI
Faraz 2.0 colon Faraz is actually there. That's the Faraz returns. Faraz 2.0 colon Faraz returns. For real, bro.
No, but what other films are we covering this festival? Berlin we are watching. Stolen.
What? watching
अभी मत करो commit.
नहीं, but
नहीं
we're planning
कल
to.
करेंगे डिस्कस कल करेंगे.
We're planning to watch a lot
नहीं
of films
आगरा
that-
जोरम तो देख ही रहे हैं
नहीं कल करते डिस्कस.
क्या?
तो क्या करेंगे संडे को.
चार्ज नहीं कोई नहीं देख लेना.
I don't even know what I'm like most excited about now
Yeah.
around the festival. I think this festival just needs to have one film which I absolutely love now to justify how
I don't
much
think so.
Coming over here. Yeah.
बैठे रहे तू. नहीं होगा.
ला के मेरा और इससे सबसे होप है मेरी
किससे?
वही यार जो इतनी बार बोल चुका हूँ हैप्पी एज लजारो जो नेटफ्लिक्स पे है पिक्चर वो एलिस राव कैचर ने बचाई उसने लास्ट ईयर अल्फोंसो कुआरॉन प्रोड्यूस्ड हर डिज्नी वाला का थिंग आल्सो ले पुपिल करके देयर वाज द होल शॉर्ट फिल्म इज अ वंडरफुल डायरेक्टर इट्स लाइक अ फैंटेसी
Okay.
The one you told me
Adventure. Yeah, it's like supposed to be good.
about. Yeah.
And then what
It's
else?
premiering over here.
It's here. I have it in my schedule, sir.
Oh,
Which
okay.
also means you have it in your schedule
Yeah, same
for
schedule.
now. Uh,
Yeah.
no, you guys should look forward to Anatomy of a Fall. It's
Yeah,
a good movie.
I am very much looking forward to it. But it's
मैं याद
majorly in
करने के लिए
English,
मजा आया
right?
क्या?
It's majorly in English.
It's good, yeah. It's not a bad movie. It's just
What language is it though?
English majorly and
Plus
French.
French. Okay.
And a little bit of German.
अरे यार तो subtitles on off होता रहेगा यार. It's jarring.
Deutsch.
हाँ सर बहुत बड़ी ट्रेजेडी है.
नींद का तो sorted है वो तो अपने fresh होके
यार एनाटॉमी ऑफ फॉल में नहीं नींद आएगी, उसमें चीजें होती हैं.
कौन देखेगा ये एपिसोड यार?
Conflict does not exist.
Boredom does.
Boredom does.
Conflict does not not
Red.
exist.
यार ये रिकॉर्ड तो कर लिया, डाल भी देंगे. कौन देखेगा? नहीं
अरे
सकता.
मैं शेयर
5 व्यू मिलेंगे तो मैं बहुत जाऊंगा.
नहीं मिलेगा कुछ.
भाई let's
बाय चांस
let's
अगर
release
मूवी आ
this.
भाई किसी तरह तो फिर मुझे नहीं पता.
मैं बोलूं एक
हाँ?
चीज कर, ये ऑडियो फॉर्म में Spotify पे ऐसे ही डाल दो
हाँ.
unedited. I'm
Yo.
not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. Let's और नाम में ही रख दो ना impromptu मामी day 1 day 2 day 3 करके करते हैं.
क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
ठीक है. एंड
अपने पास
YouTube पे भी डालते हैं.
मटेरियल है एक रेड डालने के लिए.
YouTube पे भी डालते हैं.
मैं तो कह रहा हूँ YouTube प्रमोट
भाई आएंगे व्यूज बिकॉज बहुत मामी बहुत
Frustration
सारे
है
लोग
बहुत.
सब अपन अब कमेंट करेंगे एवरी मंथ.
मामी की माँ की.
अपने अब कमेंट्स करेंगे एवरीवन हु इज डिससैटिस्फाइड विद मामी अपना पॉडकास्ट सुनाओ इधर. बेस्ट वे होगा मार्केट करना.
चलो करते हैं.
वो बंदे
और
वो बंदा जो रोज कमेंट करता है ना एनीवन आर यू इंटरेस्टेड टू लिसन टू आवर पॉडकास्ट.
मैं भी एक अपन करते हैं भाई. मैं तो कह रहा हूँ वो पेज से कमेंट मारते हैं उनके पेज पे.
डायरेक्ट मारते हैं.
ओ मामी पिचिंग ऑन पॉडकास्ट एक्सक्लूसिव. हंसल मेहता मेकिंग चाय.
ओनली एट क्वीन इज
ओनली एट पीरियड एट पॉट. अरे डन. अब तो ये हो रहा है सुबह सुबह 100%.
Oh God. बंद करो सर.
बंद करो. चल बाय हंसल. तू रिकॉर्डिंग तो मत कर.
क्या कर रहा है भाई?
डोंट टेल
अरे
हिम.
चश्मे पहन ले आ रही है.
डोंट टेल हिम रिकॉर्डिंग नहीं दबाया था.